I am a newbie at chess. I'm slowly transitioning from being a beginner to being an early intermediate. I think I might be an early intermediate, but I'm not sure because chess keeps showing me how stupid I am. Anyway, I started playing classical chess. Well, I haven't officially joined yet, but I started playing at a chess club. I've played there 2 times now, and the first time I didn't know I had to notate my game, and I had never done that before. So this is very early on in my process. I played my second classical game and I did notate it this time, so we can talk about what happened. And turned out I won, and I felt so good winning a game of classical chess. Even though afterwards, when I looked at it, Starkfish told me I shouldn't have won. I'm gonna see what happened, how I thought, how my opponent maybe thought, and well, this is what we're doing. So let's get the chessboard. And I opened with e4. I played the Vienna, at least that's my standard opening lately. I might switch at some point, but I want to stick to one opening for a while. So I played the Vienna, and my a-hole opponent played the Sicilian. Now, of course, he's not actually an a-hole. He's actually a really nice guy. He got me a cup of tea. We had a nice chat afterwards. But I just don't know what to do against a Sicilian. I'm only just learning main lines, so all I have at this point is, well, just general opening principles and calculation. I did know one idea, I think I got this from Gotham Chess, where you go like this, challenging that pawn and being able to recapture with another flank, well, flank of the center. Is that what you call it? Is it a flank pawn? Whatever. Recapture with my own c-pawn so I can still have 2 pawns in the center. So that's the idea, and that's what I went for. I know it's not the main line, so that's my only advantage here. Not knowing if my opponent is going to know it, but also my opponent probably being less familiar in this setup. And turns out he did indeed not make the ideal choice. Let's turn analysis on for a second. I think he was supposed to play this, weirdly enough, because you would think the pawn just captures. It's in there. It's one of the moves. Oh, it's the top engine move. Yeah, it's the top engine move. You have to play that, but he didn't. He did the most typical thing you might expect: push the pawn, get the knight behind it, and probably nothing wrong with it whatsoever. I figured if I want the center, I should go as fast as possible. I should do it right now because it's defended by the queen, right? So if we take, he can't take because my queen defends it. So I did that, and he just kept attention, played this. I assumed preparing for this, which seemed strong. I mean, not that I'm actually capable of judging that accurately, but it just seemed strong to me to have this move. But this seemed kind of uncalled for. I thought, what are you going to do with your last pair bishop? Well, maybe after this whole trade, he can just get out. So maybe I'm an idiot and don't know how chess works, and probably that's what it is. Either way, I figured enough pawn play, time to get pieces out. And if you're going to play this, at least your knight is going to be pawned, and I'm going to get to double your pawns. So that was the hope. Okay? Not too much going on so far. He attacks, I take, and he recaptures with the center pawn, opening up his queen. So now this pawn trade might not be as self-explanatory. I figured, well, we traded. I've got a decent chain leading up to the center. He's got double pawns. I don't feel like I need to do that much except just develop stuff and castle. So I just played this knight for no other reason than to prepare castling. Because, what are you gonna do? And he played something really, I don't know, if it's weird, maybe it's just a common idea, but I didn't see it coming. He brought his queen out and he put it in front of his b pawn, blocking his bishop in a bit more. Of course, attacking my b pawn, and now my bishop can't leave, and now the knight is gonna have to come out first and block the bishop in as well. So maybe he was trying to slow down my development while still keeping an eye on this pawn. So I think I understand what he was going for, and maybe it's good, but I thought that this is weird. He got the queen out with his bishops and one knight still on the starting ranks, no castling. He got his queen out of the semi-open center file and put it here to get this pressure going. On the other hand, he was slowing down my development, so I thought maybe this is just high-level chess that I'm not familiar with. Because my opponent was a club player who has been playing for many years, and he left his previous club because it became a very small club and was much more casual, and then he joined this club that I'm playing with right now because they take it very seriously. So I thought, okay, this must be a pretty serious player, he must know what he's doing. I'm gonna assume I'm the idiot that he knows that this is good, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it one way or another. Well, I have to get development going. Getting the knight out is a multiple move process, but I can castle right now, putting the king on the other side as the queen. I did put it on the same diagonal, I knew that, I was conscious of it, but at least in terms of side of the board, the queen was on one side, the king was on the other side. So I thought it wouldn't be that bad, and I needed to develop, right? So he starts developing as well. He needs to get his king castled as well, of course. He's attacking this pawn. I had to do something. Playing the knight was definitely in consideration here. The reason I didn't play this, because I ended up playing the rook here, defending like that. But this was the first thing I looked at. I cannot play the bishop because I need to defend this pawn. I can push the pawn, but he can just go somewhere and he'll be fine. So didn't want to do that as well. I wanted to defend. If I do this, he can't take because I will take, like, fair enough. But then what am I going to do afterwards? Where's the knight going to go? And as soon as the knight moves, this pawn is going to be undefended again. So I thought, no, I need a more permanent defense for this pawn. I'm going to play rook e1. I have no idea how much we've deviated from the main line and from the best moves so far. I'm going to get back to it afterwards, but first I just want to explain my experience in the thinking process. So that's where we are right now. He played bishop e7, natural square for the bishop to go to. He's blocked in. He could do the trade first and then play the bishop here, attacking the rook, I don't know. But he just played it here, very natural, preparing castling. I now finally played my knight move. The idea being that I want to go here. Not because I love moving pieces multiple times in the opening, but if I move it here, I move it with a tempo. The queen needs to get back, and the pawn is still defended, so even if the queen goes here or goes there or something, I'm still defending it and the bishop can now get out. If he goes back, I can go here, plugging this hole, having my knights defend each other, and having my knight on a sort of outpost. I mean, as long as this pawn is blocked in by the knight, I'm going to call it an outpost, close to the king. So I figured probably that's what I want to do. And so I'm going to go like this. In contrast to going like this, which I thought was less flexible. I had to be more sure that it's going to end up here. And I don't know what I'm doing, okay? I'm a beginner. I'm glad I even had thoughts that made sense, even if it's only slightly making sense. Played the knight here. Now he went for the trade. I'm not sure why this was the moment. Maybe it's because of this square, but he already moved his bishop. Maybe he thought I could take the pawn, but the knight is defending it now. I'm not sure, but this is the moment where he went for the trade, right before he castled. And then we went on and I played c4. I played the move I was eyeballing a while ago. A few moves ago. I was kind of scared he was gonna put the queen on one of these squares, infiltrating, you know? But he didn't. He played solid. Also, I noticed all these light squared pawns. That's great. A lot of light square control for my opponent. Luckily, his bishop is oh shit, nope. The bishop is stuck. It's trapped in between its own pawns, making it hard for this rook to come out as well. The queen is in I think it's a strange spot, so I'm also kind of helping my opponent reposition, and he decided to go here. First thing I saw was this threat. I figured if he's going to play the knight forward, I'm going to have to act on this. I'm going to have to think about that. I'm going to have to keep that in mind. But I saw this move, plugging the hole. Didn't go for it immediately. I thought, let's not do too much weird stuff before we just develop. So I developed first, get my bishop in. Then I would have two knights and a bishop here in this king-like area. And who knows, maybe it's gonna end up being some kind of attack. Of course, I don't know what I'm talking about. Not really. I'm trying. I'm really trying. We had an hour and 45 minutes each, and I'm sitting there and calculating like crazy, thinking about strategically, so thinking in words, in order to determine which moves I should look at first, and then just calculating moves. And every time I manage to calculate more than 3 moves ahead, I'm so proud of myself because I just suck at this, okay? I'm learning. I'm learning. So, develop the bishop. Almost everything is developed now. This rook still needs something to do, the queen needs somewhere to go, and then we are ready to play this game. While his bishop is stuck, his rook is undeveloped, his other rook is undeveloped. Well, that's it. He's not that far behind. It's mostly the main problem is that his bishop is stuck. So, what does he do? He plays h6. Get rid of the bishop. He didn't like this. I knew if he was gonna take, I would love trading and then taking back. Well, love is maybe said too much because he can come forward and then I have to move the rook again, and what am I really gaining here? But I thought in future tactics this might be an element, and he wanted to prevent that, so I had to move my bishop back now. And he went for b5, which is very understandable. Kicking the knight, making room for the bishop, solving a bunch of problems, but also allowing my knight to go where it actually wanted to go in the first place. I wanted to go here. Thanks for giving me a good opportunity, sort of. Then he played a really weird move. He played rook e8. Not absurdly weird. I mean, it's very natural after castling to move your rook up 1 square so it gets activated, except it's not activated here. This file is filled up with pieces, and this file is almost empty, and it will be targeting my queen. So it just seemed kind of weird. I mean, imagine the rook goes there. Now even the... okay, sorry. If this knight wasn't here, that's a problem. Then you could take this with the queen and take this, so now you would also lose your rook. See, this is why I'm an idiot. I shouldn't calculate these things just on the fly. I'm just gonna stick to what I actually did. He moved his rook up 1 square, developing. I was getting ready for an attack. So, what did I see? Well, one, if the queen can make it here, this might actually be an option. Completely opening up the queen. Or otherwise, get the queen here, get the rook there, and then just attack that pawn, right? But I figured getting the queen in this area with the knights and the bishop already being there and also bringing a rook, that has to be a vicious attack. I hoped. I also looked at, let's see, this move. Not right now, but in a few moves I'll also be looking at this one. Just to get that out. Take this. He is probably not going to take with the king because that would be kind of weird, because by that time my queen will be able to come out. So at this stage I was starting to figure out how I'm going to attack my opponent, which turned out to be the main thing that happened in this game. My attack of my opponent and him defending it and ultimately failing, but I failed in attacking as well, and my opponent just didn't see how much I failed. Either way, this is why I decided to move my rook a second time without developing this rook. Turns out it's a big mistake. Well, big mistake, it's a mistake at least. If we turn on the evaluation, it's, yeah, you can see the evaluation. He's still calculating, we are not as equal as we should be, maybe. I think this was a big problem for a long time, but 1.6 is not a huge difference for someone at my level. You know, grandmasters might just resign, I don't know. But for us, this difference is not big enough. But you can see, this is the main move. Develop your pieces. Just develop the other pieces. But I let go of the actual principles, thinking I knew how to attack. So that's room for improvement right there. And I moved the rook up, getting ready to do this. And I had to see how my opponent would react. Of course, he fianchettos the bishop, and I played this move. I felt so smart. I mean, look at the position, think about what white should do, decide for yourself. If you're a much better chess player than I, you probably know something much better than me that can be played here. But I didn't get the sense that I had that much time. So these pawns, at some point they're gonna come barreling down. I have these 2 pawns. This is 1 trade away from being removed from this little pawn battle here. So if I'm If I fall asleep at the board and would just move my king back and forth, he would end up promoting to a queen here at some point, with rooks staring at each other, queens staring at each other, and just a pawn majority, and he has the bishop, I don't. So I figured I cannot give him time forever, I need to get attacking. How am I going to do this? So I was really looking at this square. This is, or well, these squares really, this area in front of the king. I figured if I take, and he couldn't take with the bishop, he would have to open up his king or just lose a piece. So if I play this, maybe I can attract the defender and attack and trade the bishop that way, giving up a pawn in order to open up the king. For many chess players, a very basic thought. For me, attracting the defender is just not a given. It's just not obvious to me that that's how you should play. And I thought, oh my god, I'm so curious to see what the analysis will say afterwards about this move. And turns out I did not ruin my advantage doing this. So I'm at like 0.8 right now, playing the pawn, still at 0.8. Nothing happened. So I played this and I wasn't a complete idiot. Okay, 0.3. I did give up some of my advantage. But it's not as bad as it could have been, and I'm just glad that I made this move that looks absurd to me, because it just looks like hanging a pawn, right? But that I actually had some semi-proper compensation for it. Okay, turning off analysis again, because we don't have analysis at the board, and I don't want to spoil what's happening. So, he didn't take. He saw the threat and just figured, well, this whole situation here is going to end up in his favor, so let's get to it. If he takes, he now has 2 pawns, and doubled or not, I cannot stop both of them with the other pieces getting behind it, and it's going to completely ruin my attack. I did not want that. I said, screw it, I'm going to attack. Moving the pawn in front of the king, which is ill-advised. It's ill-advised. I just don't know what else to say about it, but I thought it would be fine, because again, if he gets out, I can take the bishop trade and take his knight, and we still have pieces here ready to attack. If he doesn't take, I can keep pushing to open up the king. And I just didn't see the direct danger for my king, and we're gonna see that I ended up in a pretty decent defensive position. My opponent probably didn't properly take advantage of my blunders. I mean, that's chess, right? But I played this, he played that, pushing the pawn in front of his king. I was so happy to see this. I mean, it's kind of annoying for my bishop, it has to move, but it will be x-raying the queen. So, well, whatever. And it's going to be a bit harder to break through, but not that much harder. I saw this move is going to be the pawn break that I need. And then in order to prepare myself, I might do something like this. Since this is now blocked in by my own pawn, I might come through the back, and this rook here doesn't even need to be developed anymore, because the only thing he's going to do is head to that square. I thought. We'll see. But that's where my thought process was at. He didn't like that my bishop was x-raying his queen. Also, I don't think his queen is quite ideally placed. Later on in the game, he realized that this was also not the right place for his queen. He moved it to c8, d8, which would have been much better. This file wants to be taken, wants to be contested, and now it's all just for my queen. Well, this is what he played. I certainly didn't play perfectly as well, and I saw my idea of getting behind and pushing h4, so I got my king out of the way. Later on we can look at this with the Stockfish evaluation. This is not one of the top 3 moves, I can guarantee you that, but this is what I did. He took the b-pawn. You know, at this point it's clear to me that whatever's going on here is the pressure on him, and this is pressure on me. I'm trying to attack his king and just win, checkmate him, and he's trying to win the endgame. Maybe that's a grossly incorrect assessment of the position, and actually I don't think I'm capable of actual correct assessment of positions, because I'm too low level, okay? I just am. I made a new chess.com account. My rating there in Blitz is 1200, 1250. I made a Lichess account, same rating there, 1200, 1250. I was hovering around 1270 for a while. So I'm no master. I am no master. But this is what I was thinking. I thought, well, he's trying to win here, probably pushing for an endgame. I'm trying to win here, probably going for an early checkmate, or well, it's not really going to be early because we're already at move 20 and it's not that early. But that was what I was thinking, and I moved the queen here. What I noticed at this point, what I was kind of happy about, these are all aligned on a diagonal, and these on a horizontal, and they're sort of like this wedge-like formation, putting all these pieces in between my king and his pieces, right? So I had this sort of wedge-like formation, and even though my king was in a kind of unorthodox, uncommon position, it still seemed like I was going to be safe enough for now, because the attacking pieces were also keeping my king safe. You know, kind of attacking and defending at the same time. He played a3. Afterwards, my opponent told me he almost assumed I was gonna take, he was gonna take, and then this pawn could come down, and 2 pawns against 1 is just not convenient for me. Or that if he would take, I would take back. And neither of those things happened, weirdly enough. So, he played a3, I pushed h4, just like intended. He moved his knight out of the way. Probably, I'm thinking, he didn't like that if I attack or if I take, his knight is under attack, but now also multiple pieces are defending this square. He pushed his pawn, well, he's going to keep it safe because his king needs to be safe. I think the thought process was something like this, at least I assume it is, but I took anyway. Because it's opening up. Everything's opening up. Now my rook, my queen are going to have a great time, right? He took my rook. And every fiber in my being said, oh, well, I guess I have to take back. But I thought, no, I don't need to take back. How about, and then I started looking at different moves, and I figured this has to be a big problem for my opponent. You can take my rook, but I just got too many pieces here, and if I do this, your king is too open, and this is big trouble. So I took that pawn, and he played this. That rook took my rook and took my knight. Now, I took a second here. I thought I'm way too deep in right now. I already sacrificed material. My opponent has some really nice endgame prospects. I figured at least one of these pawns has to be able to make it to the other side, or it's going to force me to play in such a way that it doesn't, and maybe sacrifice even more. So I thought, well, I'm in deep, I'm going for this attack. If it works, I win. If it doesn't work, I'm going to lose the endgame. That's basically what I thought. Already losing the rook, the knight, and now I decided to push this pawn. Honestly, I felt very savage playing this move. Again, maybe very normal to you guys, but this checkmate idea, of course the rook is now preventing it, but when the position changes, just the fact that the pawn got these 2 squares, I can speak, and that the queen can deliver some sort of checkmate here, I thought would be a pretty big threat. He thought so as well. He thought, let's take and put that pawn back in front of my king. Not that it helps, because of course I'm going to check you. I thought it might be better for him to go here. I mean, I can't take, and then there's this, and then we're going to have a party. Or if he takes, his knight might be hanging and his king is boxed in. But how am I exactly going to checkmate you, or like that? Yeah, okay. So he probably did make the right choice, went here. What happened? I played this knight, and something pretty embarrassing happened. So I was calculating what I had to do and everything that could happen, and how I'm going to get my pieces in, and how I'm going to get to this king, right? So I saw this. If this rook hadn't been there, that it just would have been checkmate, of course. The knight attacks and the queen cuts off, so there's nothing you can do. So I play this, I was calculating, okay, his rook is going to come down, it's going to have to, I can maybe take the rook, and I was calculating all sorts of lines, what's the bishop going to do, when do I need to move this rook over. But eventually, even though I took this into account, eventually when I played this, I saw my opponent started calculating, and I said to him, wait a second, isn't it just checkmate? I'm thinking he felt pretty good right there. But he said, no, I'm sorry, man, I can still take your knight. And oh no. And he took my knight, and I thought, okay, calm down. You looked at this, you know you looked at this, and you still thought it was better to play the knight there. How are we going to continue? This is a critical moment. I delivered another check, he blocked, and I moved my rook over. And now there's nothing you can do to stop checkmate. The rook cannot take. By the way, when this rook went forward, my heart sank into my feet for a second. Because I'm a newbie, okay? And what I'm seeing is, oh no, my queen is getting attacked by a very defended piece, and now I'm not going to get to deliver checkmate. And then I saw, oh, this pin, it's pinned, he can't even take. So what are you going to do when I play this? Now this checkmate is incoming, rook cannot stop it, bishop cannot stop it, this rook can't even move, the queen is completely blocked in, the bishop can't do anything, it's checkmate. Okay, now, if you were paying attention, you might have seen that at the last second, when my roaring attack came crashing through, I blundered. And I blundered like crazy. And no, this was not the blunder. Let's take a look at the analysis. I'm going to let it run for a second. I think it says mate in 4 or mate in 5. Yeah, mate in 5. I already have mate. All I need to do is play the right move. He takes and I blunder. This puts my opponent at a severe advantage because now he can play this bishop move, and that's the nasty thing here. So in this position, 3 pieces can block. One of them can block in 2 ways. So there's 4 possible moves for my opponent. King cannot move, the queen is cutting him off. Which move are you going to play? If you're going to play the knight here, checkmate. Well, check and then checkmate, but it's checkmate. If you're going to play the rook here or there, it's pinned. I can move my rook here, and there's checkmate incoming yet again. The only right move was to play the bishop here. And if you do, I lose. I mean, it's not instant checkmate on my king or anything, but if you play this, 2.6, minus 2.6. I still have 3 pieces. I'm about to trade one, and he has 2 rooks and then a bunch of other stuff, and we know one of these pawns is going to be able to break through. If he had played this, I probably would have lost, and all I had to do was not go for the check instantly, which is my sort of assumption, apparently, when I'm going for checkmate. Just keep giving checks, cutting off the king more and more, giving your opponent no room to breathe. But just playing this, not even checking him, would have been winning. It would have been completely winning. There's nothing my opponent can do to stop it. If you play the, he's still calculating. If you play the rook here, check, and we get the same situation, except now I can go for some kind of checkmate. If you play the rook here, I play check. He needs to play this. I can take, he can take, I can take, he can block. I don't know how. I have no idea. I don't know what I'm doing. How? Let's look at the line. Let's just look at the line. Okay, so we're at the end of the game anyway. This is where my opponent resigned because it was checkmate, and I felt really proud for actually getting an attack going. But now I want to see, I just want to take a quick look at what the line would have been. Because here I got mate in 5. H1 seemed like the most logical way to continue this. Then he would have, his best move would be this. It's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. We had mate in 5, didn't we? Mate in 5 with perfect play. And yet, if you play this rook, mate in 4, if he plays this bishop, no, we're still at mate in 4. Okay, okay. That bishop. I mean, we've seen what that bishop is going to do, right? So we have some idea as to why this would be the checkmate defense, but the defense against the checkmate. Regardless, not sure how the checkmate is going to land. Of course, I can take the rook now. So
my sacrifice will be less, and now he has to move his bishop there. That's not something I would ever see. And I can, yeah, now his bishop has to move, and if he does, I got checkmate. Or his bishop doesn't move, and I got checkmate, so he has to move the rook here to defend against that. And now I can just go here, and there's nothing he can do to stop this checkmate. I mean, he can move this, I take, and then he can defend this, and I take because it's pinned. Am I reading this correctly? Apparently the best move he can play here contra Stockfish is this pawn move, but it's just checkmate. Okay, so let's see, let's go back for a second here. This was a big mistake, just going for the check instead of getting that last piece and that last rook that hasn't moved this entire game. Oh man. I'm gonna do more of these classical chess game reviews, and I know after I played it on Monday, if I had done this analysis on Tuesday, there would have been a very different energy to it. So I'm gonna see if I can do it sooner after the game when I'm a bit more, when the analysis is still fresh in my mind and when I'm a bit more hyped up about what's happening. I think the queen going there instead of there was a big mistake, because suddenly you would have a much better defense along this diagonal. Not that I would have seen that, but you know, looking back at it, I'm assuming that the queen was out of position here. By the way, it also was out of position there, and I think it also was out of position there, though I'm not sure. He had this threat with the knight coming down, and the queen coming down protected by the knight, but that was a long time ago. I mean, back here, I think. Let's see, c7. Yeah, here moved. So this was a reason, but other than that, I think for a large part of this game, there, the queen went out of position. And now this queen is just not helping in this game and not doing anything, and checkmate comes. Okay, I'm trying to learn from these games, but I'm just having such a blast playing over the board chess against an actual human being sitting in front of me at the other side of the table, playing against someone who actually knows how to play, and then actually taking your time, thinking it all through properly. Game analysis told me my accuracy was something like 70 plus, which I think is pretty abysmal for a classical chess game, but I also think it's pretty good for me in a position that I've never seen, well, never seen before. Not sure about that, but I did not play against a lot of Sicilian defense, and I haven't been playing the Vienna for that long, just a few, like 2 or 3 months now, and I'm not a pro, so I didn't play that many games. So I'm happy with the result. You know, it's a low accuracy, I know, but I'm a beginner/intermediate. I know, beginner, I think, and I was happy with an accuracy of 70. Also, my opponent had an accuracy of 55. So the way chess always seems to work is that whoever blunders most loses. I just don't know what to say about this game anymore. I'm gonna play another game on Monday, and I'll see you guys next time. I hope you had fun, and we'll see when this game gets uploaded, and when and what the next game will be like. I hope I'll manage to win. We'll see. See you guys next time.